Fun fact, I didn't get a phone until last year. If you're watching this in 2017, or if you're one of the time travelers in the comments who comments, like if you're watching this in 2031, that was 2015 when I got a phone. So a funny story is that when I was in middle school, I thought iPhones were the only good phones. Mostly because almost everyone in my class had one, but most people were filthy stinking rich anyway and had pretty much anything, and my friend Nick was the biggest Apple geek. Yet he mistakes Steve Jobs' name as Steve Bob's. I couldn't stop laughing. I also used an iPod 4G at the time, and I was pretty much used to Apple. So I thought Android phones were not cool at all, and I thought they were crap. And I thought the user base looked like this, and the one for Apple looked like this. Looking back at it though, Craig and Eric are pretty damn awesome. So when my mom surprised me with the phone before I went to Playlist Live, it was the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce 2. While I was happy to finally have a phone, I didn't think I would like it that much, mainly due to it being an Android phone, and I thought Android would be terrible at the time. So after a year and a half of using it, here is my review of the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce 2. What a name. The design of the phone is pretty sleek and standard. Nothing too special here. The back of the phone comes in a pretty metallic blue color, but there is some residue on the back, likely due to keeping it in a case all the time. Fortunately, the back is removable, allowing it to be replaceable, and you can even use a microSD card for extra storage. You will need that. By the way, finding a case can be a pain due to the obscurity of the phone. I found mine at a Metro PCS store at the mall for $30 last year, and it works great. Likely you'll have to buy a case online though. I'd buy from a reputable source. The front of the phone is pretty basic and self-explanatory. The front buttons are all digital, but the side buttons to control the volume and power are all physical. The charging port is a micro USB, which is great since a lot of phones use that. And of course there's a headphone jack. Once you turn on the phone, you'll get a pretty solid interface, which is easy to use and pretty smooth. If you don't like the interface, that isn't a problem at all, as there are apps that change the interface, such as iLauncher, which gives you an iOS interface. The display is good, and while it's not HD, it still looks really good. The phone runs Android 4.4 and runs at a good speed. I ended up really liking Android because there are a ton of customization options available, and overall it's a really good operating system. I don't think there's going to be any updates for it though, so you get what you get. The battery life is not too great, lasting about 3.5 to 4 hours, but it charges fairly quickly. I'm sure there are high capacity batteries you could use to boost the battery life, but seriously, if you're on your phone for more than 4 hours a day, you really need to go out more. If you have a phone addiction for more than 4 hours, please go to the ER. See what I did there? Phone call quality is good, sounding loud and clear, and text messaging is good as well. Data speeds aren't too good though. They sometimes lag and there is no LTE. Most budget Android phones don't have LTE either, so you get what you pay for. Games usually work fine, but some bigger games have slowdown issues. You can also get emulators of almost anything, which works really well. Social media apps such as Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, AOL Chat, and Farmers Only work really well too. What, you don't go on Farmers Only or MySpace? Come on, you don't know what you're missing. Browsing the internet and checking emails works fine too. Google Chrome is the main browser, and Gmail is the main email application, and both work exceptionally well. Music works okay. You can change some of the settings, but occasionally your settings may not work. Let's say you put a song on replay, sometimes it might not replay. Most of the time it works fine though. YouTube usually runs well, but often it lags beyond belief. That's a problem. For the most part, this sounds too good to be true, right? A good price, and it does everything a smartphone should do. Well, here's where the big problems begin. The internal storage of the phone is a measly 2 gigabytes. Half the storage will be taken up with Google apps you'll probably never use. And you can't remove them. You can disable them to conserve some space, but still they take up a lot of space. Some apps can save to the SD card, but the phone sees every installation as going to the internal storage, and you'll always get that insufficient space notification. I couldn't even download Mitomo because apparently it was too big. The phone occasionally slows down, and sometimes even glitches. That happens with most phones though, and you won't lose any data while it happens. It's still annoying as ever though. Camera quality is another major issue. The rear camera is a decent 5 megapixel camera, and sometimes it works okay, and other times it doesn't. Here's a good picture of a Shovel Knight amiibo, but compared to a Galaxy S3 picture, it doesn't look too good. Pictures taken outside don't look that good, and often blur things out. such as trees turning into a solid black color. Low light photos look pretty bad as well. There is flash though to remedy this. Video quality is pretty poor and doesn't focus and lags if there's any movement. The front camera is atrocious. It's a measly 0.3 megapixels and the pictures look more like a painting than an actual photograph. White girls, this is not the phone for you. Video recorded using the front camera? Well, just look at it. Snapchat can be difficult to use because the front camera is that bad. It's not so bad you can't even tell that you're in the picture, but it is still pretty bad. So in conclusion, the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce 2, while it does everything a smartphone does, and fairly well most of the time, there is occasional slowdown, not enough internal storage, and the camera quality is pretty poor. For a user that just wants a phone for talk, text, going on the internet, and maybe a few pictures here and there, then it's alright and gets the job done. Heck, I barely play phone games. I have a 3DS for handheld gaming. But if you want a great phone for a good price, I don't recommend it. Sure, you can get an SD card for more storage for some apps and pictures to be stored on, but downloading apps is a pain since you'll always get the insufficient space notification. There's probably a way around it, but even then, the phone is not too good even for a budget phone. I'm not expecting 4K display, movie theater quality audio, or a built-in toilet. I'm just expecting a better quality camera and the ability to download apps without a problem. There are so many affordable phones out there that deliver on being cost-effective and great quality for what it's worth. Some great examples of good cost-effective phones are the Samsung Galaxy Grand Prime, Motorola Moto G, even Alcatel's own Onetouch Idol 3. Heck, even older iPhones such as the 5 or 5S or an older Samsung Galaxy S like the S3 or 4 would be a better option. On a 1 to 10 scale, I'd give it a 5. It served me well for the last year and a half, but there are so many better options out there for a low-cost smartphone. Not the worst phone in the world, but certainly better options out there. The phone has quite a few flaws, but if it did anything well for me other than supplying me with a phone, it introduced me to Android. In the end, I really ended up liking Android, even more than iOS. I think iOS is still okay, but there are just so many more options available on Android, and stuff you can get on the Play Store you can't get on the App Store, making me actually prefer it. There's just more freedom available. I didn't think I would like it because I was used to Apple at the time, and everyone I knew had an iPhone, so I thought it would be total crap, but I was wrong, and in the end, I ended up loving Android. My middle school self, you deserve a slap in the face. The Alcatel served me well, but I thought it was time to get a new smartphone. So, I bought a Samsung Galaxy S5. I've had it for about a week, and using it all week long, I can certainly say it is a fantastic smartphone, even though it was released in 2014. Apps work great, everything works well on it, and the camera quality is amazing. Hopefully we'll get that Marshmallow update though. Come on AT&T. I also gotta give a big thank you to Sell to You for Less on Amazon, which I bought the phone from. This isn't a paid endorsement, but I wanted to give them a big thank you for their awesome customer service. So if you want a good phone for a good price, buy from Sell to You for Less. Link will be in the description. Let me know what kind of phone you guys have in the comments, and keep calm and dada on. And yes, the phone has emojis and this is what they look like. I know, kinda lame, but emojis that are lame are better than none.